Earth Day, April 22, year 2022 AD. Place, Parker, Colorado, USA, planet Earth. Happy Earth Day! Merry Sun's Day, Prairie and Friends. My name is Cindy, and I am the voice behind the slides. Today I would like to do a different type of service. This has been a labor of love and a lot of time down a rabbit hole. I know climate change is in the forefront of the headlines, but I'd like to take a bit of time to talk about a crisis that is equally critical for us: species extinction. All of our current crises are indeed interconnected and interdependent: the fail, the cure, and everything in between. Somehow, we humans have forgotten to look at the larger picture, favoring more intimate details of how things work. I'm here to tell you, if we don't take care of where we live and start seeing the bigger picture, it won't matter how it works. But all is not doom and gloom. Hang in to the end. The IUCN, the International Union for Conservation of Nature, was established in 1964 and has become our world's best information source on the global risk status of animals, fungus, and plant species. Today I am focusing strictly on vertebrates, either extinct or non-confirmed in the last 50 years. I found quickly when entering my rabbit hole this information is way bigger than my presentation, and I needed specific focus. The Red List, which is compiled by the IUCN, is more than just a list of species and their status. It is a tool, a barometer, if you will, to give us a way to cross-check our actions and make us more accountable. It provides information about range, population size, habitat and ecology, threats and conservation efforts. The list is used by government agencies, wildlife departments, conservation-related non-government organizations, natural resource planners, to name a few, and partners with a rather extensive, impressive world list of organizations and businesses who help compile the information to render this list indispensable and crucial. The good news is that we have saved some species through education and action efforts. The bad news is biodiversity is taking a major hit. There are more than 142,500 species on the IUCN Red List. 40,000 are threatened with extinction. The breakdown is as follows: 41% amphibians, 37% sharks and rays, 34% conifers, 33% reef-building corals, 26% mammals, and 13% birds. These are staggering numbers. The IUCN is working hard to identify the species that need the targeted recovery efforts, while dually focusing on habitats and sites that also need to be protected. Yes, climate change factors into the recommendations and the guidance suggestions for future conservation and funding priorities. This said, not all species have been assessed. The IUCN has a goal to assess 160,000 species, which means just because the species is not on the list does not mean it's safe. What it does mean is the species has not yet been assessed. More experts are needed to strategically increase the number of species assessed each year. While climate change is important, it is also important to remember that our world population growth is carving out huge swaths of vegetation, virtually eliminating some species' habitats. We are our own worst enemies. The first part of the slides being seen are vertebrates that have been lost and are now considered extinct or can no longer be substantiated. They are gone. Their voice is no more. Let us not forget. There are some species that are, per criteria, not extinct, but no longer living in the wild either. The IUCN defines extinct in the wild as a plant, animal, or fungi that is known only to survive in cultivation, in captivity, or in a natural population well outside the indigenous range. In other words, they depend on us for help. This help identifies species in urgent need of recovery efforts and pinpoints habitats that need to be restored to reestablish the species into the wild. According to biologicaldiversity.org, the following U.S. species have declined due to urbanization, agriculture, and human alteration of their habitat. This list is not comprehensive nor total or in any particular order. The Florida panther, the Atlantic bluefin tuna, the loggerhead sea turtle, the Lang's metalmark butterfly, the Mississippi gopher frog, the White River spindis, the polar bears, the Gulf sturgeon, and the San Joaquin fox. So now what? Is all the news gloom and doom? No, absolutely not. The first and foremost thing I would like to remind you is that any attempt to positively change is better than no attempt. Climate change is major to all of our survival. But what else is happening worldwide to help our great Mother Gaia and her animal kingdom? According to Open Access Government, a website that provides an in-depth perspective to key public policy areas from all around the world, the humpback whale numbers are bouncing back. Due to intensive conservation efforts, these whales in South America have rebounded from the brink of extinction at 425 to over 25,000. The comprehensive study that determined the bounce back also examined how the increase of the South American humpback may impact the wider ecosystem in which they are key to the food chain. Rewilding the Ukrainian Danube Delta is listed. It is my sincere hope this ecosystem has survived the current situation. This effort removed 10 obsolete dams feeding the Danube Delta and reintroduced the water buffalo to help restore wild nature and provide economic benefits to local communities. Rewilding is a form of conservation aimed at protecting and restoring natural processes and wilderness areas, providing connectivity between the areas and reintroducing apex predators and keystone species. Today, wilding is gaining momentum as a progressive and effective approach to conservation in Europe. Rewilding Europe continues to foster collaboration and amplify their results. China, Kenya, and Botswana are partnering to stop wildlife trafficking. With the recent expansion of China in Africa, ivory smuggling incidents involving Chinese nationals continued to be reported. The Chinese government is intensifying the monitoring of its markets and crucial transport links and increasing border inspection. WWF China reports, and I quote, "Legal ivory is no longer available in China." End of quote. We all hope so. The mountain gorillas were expected to be extinct by the end of the 20th century, but a recently released survey has shown an increase in numbers from 480 in 2010 to 604 in 2016. The Virunga Massif is spread across the DRC, Uganda, and Rwanda, covering 11,445 acres for this species. It is one of only 2 areas that is their habitat. They are still critically endangered in urgent need of protection. More importantly, due to their limited range and proximity, they are also vulnerable to the impacts of human development and disease. Interesting to note, mountain gorillas are the only species of great apes that are not declining. The world's largest cleanup of ocean plastic is a huge conservation success story with more work to be done. A large percentage of discarded plastics are caught in a vortex of circulating currents, creating the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. 100 million marine animals die each year from the plastic waste. Over 100 million marine animals die every year from entanglement in plastic. It is estimated that 12 to 14,000 tons of plastic are ingested by North Pacific fish annually. The Ocean Cleanup Project aims to extract pollution from the ocean using a barrier pushed by the wind and currents to scoop up the marine debris to hopefully reduce the impacts on marine wildlife. It is a work in progress and is constantly being fine-tuned. In addition to successfully capturing visible pieces of debris in ghost fishing nets, it has also successfully captured microplastics as small as 1 millimeter. The government of Peru, the WWF, and their partners have committed $140 million for the conservation and protection of the Peruvian Amazon. The investment will go into expanding and protecting the 17 million hectares of this specific area. The government-led project will allow Peru's protected areas be financially sustainable by promoting the well-being of the local people, who depend on the health of the rainforest, which in turn will conserve the local biodiversity and ecosystems. Over 330,000 people depend directly on services the rainforest provides and may benefit from a healthy, rich, and biodiverse rainforest instead of a deforested one. The rainforest is home to thousands of plants and animals such as jaguars, the Amazon River dolphin, and the spectacled bear, and it is said there are many more species yet to be discovered in all areas. Current hope. The last known female Swinhoe's softshell turtle died in 2019, and it was feared the species was doomed until a large female was captured in 2021 and recognized as the last of her species. Hope springs eternal. A Ghanaian owl has been rediscovered after 150 years of unconfirmed reports. A photo of the Shelley's eagle owl was snapped last October, confirming the reports. Score 1 for the Shelley's eagle owl. Extinct Australian mouse rediscovered on islands. The Shark Bay mouse was found to be identical to the Gouldsfield mouse, which was believed to have been wiped out by European settlers. Populations have been established on multiple islands in Shark Bay to give it the best chance for survival. Most wanted fish hunted down in Turkey. The critically endangered Diyarbakir loach has been found after being lost for 5 decades. It was found in a stream north of the Batman Dam, which sliced its habitat in half when it was built in the 1980s. Giant pandas were classified as vulnerable by the Chinese government following a similar decision by the IUCN. This is a step up from the endangered classification they held. It is a reward of decades of focused conservation efforts. Over half the world's nations have pledged to end deforestation by 2030 and begin regrowing much-needed forests. Happy air means happy lungs. The Latin American nations have announced plans to connect their marine reserves in hopes to create one of the world's most biodiverse areas of protected waters. The Eastern Tropical Marine Corridor will join reserves from Ecuador, Panama, Costa Rica, and Colombia, spanning over 500,000 square kilometers, and includes such places like the Galapagos. The River Thames passed its annual health check with a report from the Zoological Society of London finding significant improvements in its water quality. Oxygen levels are up, along with shark and seahorse numbers. The river was declared toxic due to industrial pollution over 60 years ago. South Africa is relocating 30 white rhinos to Rwanda in hopes to create a breeding stronghold in the Akagera National Park. Coral Vita was recognized for its reef restoration through a fast method of growing coral in tanks. Costa Rica is rewarding its landowners who are protecting the rainforest. Fewer than 200 monarchs were spotted in the 2020 migration in Pismo Beach, California. In 2021, Pismo Beach counted 20,000 monarchs, hoping that it marked a positive turning point. I could go on and on. There are lots of positive, newsworthy stories of newly found or rediscovered species. Recovering animals that still need our help, probably indefinitely, should be our long-term concerns. As part of our web of interdependency of all life systems, I would like to leave you with this thought of optimism. There are a certain number of species that are lost through evolution and changes beyond our control. Ask any brontosaurus. But for some, there is hope. We are that hope, each of us, individually doing our part, families as a cohesive unit, as well as collectively through local, state, county, country, and world efforts. Yeah, I know, I kind of went long, I'm sorry. Thanks for hanging with me, though, on this very personal and important subject. Bless the beasts and our children. Noah, thank you for your ark.